Hello, everybody. It's midday. I'm Graham Cofe, and I'm going to be talking in a minute to Nichola Adams from Inspired Ergonomics. But first, a bit of this.
I need to get going, Mel. See you later.
Hello, Nichola. Have you seen that before?
I haven't. It's a good little advert, actually. Like to see the laptops actually properly used for a change.
Yeah, absolutely. And someone keeping healthy as part of their day as well.
Yes,
going for a little run by the Thames, which is a wonderful place to run. My scenery when I run isn't quite so exciting. I've got a local corner shop.
I've got the Thames on my doorstep, actually. And,
there you go.
It's very nice to be down there.
Yeah, you could actually follow that little route, which would be good. Now today, we're going to be talking about onboarding and how to. And that's what we're going to start talking about anyway. How you onboard people into a company properly. And before we do that, it might be a good idea if you just introduce yourself and explain where you come from with all of this. So just give us a little insight to what's Inspired Ergonomics all about.
So Inspired Ergonomics is a consultancy, which I founded a couple of years ago. I did a master's in ergonomics many eons ago. And before that, I've always been working in ergonomics since then, and just set the company up a couple of years ago. And we do a lot of expert ergonomic consultancy work for corporates and universities and things, helping really to try and prevent and reduce back pain and looking after back health generally when you're working, wherever that may be. Now, was in the office before, and now it's a lot of home workers. So we're doing a lot of those lovely Zoom calls all day long for those remote home workers. And so I've actually done a few back in the office recently. But so we do a kind of whole package. We do the one-to-ones, we do an online assessment tool as well, and we also run workshops and various other wellbeing themes. So really trying to look after the health and wellbeing of your employees.
Exactly. So generally looking after people, in terms of their health and well-being within the office. Now, I know this whole conversation, and the reason that NextDown wanted to do this live with you was because as a group of people, they were looking at things being posted on Instagram and LinkedIn as well, etc., from various companies, a lot of them tech companies in the main, where and those are companies where we know people are spending a lot of time in front of their computer. And there's this new thing that goes on, which is if you join one of these companies, you get an onboarding gift. And as part of that onboarding gift, there's a proliferation of wonderful products that you get given. And it can vary, but in the main, there may be a brand new computer, which everybody shows off in one of these photographs. You can have a key ring, a mug. It was one of the ones that I saw this week. Box of chocolates, maybe some alcohol, etc. And the conversation went around to, that's great, but what is there in that onboarding package, or what is there within that whole onboarding process that actually says to that person, what we really want to do, bringing you on board, is make sure that you're aligned to this company's culture in terms of health and well-being. Because actually, most of those packages look completely the opposite of that.
Everybody loves a bit of chocolate. I hope they're dark chocolate, which is a little bit better for you than milk. But yes, no, they look great, and they are including some nice essentials. They're all branded. They're sort of getting that culture of their company a little bit into you, and it's very exciting starting a new job as well, and there's some useful things in there. But yeah, it would be really good to have some it'd be really interesting to know what they're doing on top of that. Are they having a sort of well-being introduction as well as doing with their whole well-being process, and are they providing kit to support that? So we are seeing a lot of people doing, well, if they're not remote working, they're doing hybrid working. So it needs to have kit. You need to be provided with kit that will support that so that you can work healthily wherever you may be. And it would be lovely if there was like some sort of pamphlet explaining how to set yourself up properly, maybe a voucher, something that can give them the education to look after their back, so that they can keep productive and healthy and the feeling of looked after while they're while they're working for that company.
I guess the main thing is, you know, at the end of the day, it's all very well having this kind of tokenized gift set for people when they come in, which may get you kudos online because everybody shares it, and it's like, well, what a great company that is. They gave that person this, this, and this, and then the next company tries to beat it, etc. But for me, I guess what's really important is, you know, there's that great opportunity when someone comes to you. You don't necessarily know how that person has been in their lifestyle up until that point. You know, some companies will do a medical with someone coming in, but most don't. And who's to know whether or not that person, you know, does live a healthy lifestyle? I've seen so many people join the company and, you know, immediately they bring their bad habits into that company. One person who shall remain nameless, and the company shall remain nameless as well, you know, immediately started bringing in whole pizzas on a day-to-day basis to consume at lunchtime, or ordering in pizzas into the office. And then suddenly other people in the office are ordering massive stacks of pizzas, etc. You know, and there was no conversation or no dialogue within that business about, you know, there is a healthy way to eat. You know, and I would love to see in one of these kits, you know, here is a voucher for, you know, a healthy eating box, for example, for the next few months or whatever. Get you into the habit of eating healthily. You know, here's a gym pass. You know, make it available to you to get down the gym and actually work out and exercise. You know, and then as you say, the guidance around that as well, some education around that. I mean, that for me would be a proper health and well-being based onboarding package, which would really help these people.
People aren't posting it, so it'd be actually nice if we can kind of get people to change their emphasis of their kit as well as their well-being things that they're being offered as well. That would be really nice. But I do go into companies, well, before the lockdown, where they did have all these healthy snacks on offer, with lots of lovely fruit, there's so many new little companies that have emerged where they are doing healthy snacks to go, which is really nice. So there's some companies are just offering those, laying them out in the kitchen, which was a good idea, I thought. But yeah, if we can sort of get that spread a little bit more, that would be great.
I think it's worth turning to anyone that's watching at this point in time and saying, if you've joined a company over the last couple of years or whatever, and you had an onboarding package, do please come on and tell us, you know, in the chat what that onboarding package was involved, or did you indeed have any kind of induction into that business at all? I've heard, and I think you've heard experiences as well over this whole period of people joining companies and not even having proper correspondence with, you know, other team members or management members for months, you know, with no onboarding. I mean, how important is it really to, when someone comes on board, just to get that whole company culture right and embed team practice?
Yeah. So yes, I think we were having a discussion about someone who'd been working for a company quite new, and the line manager hadn't really bothered to touch base at her, or if it was touching base, it was to have the review after 3 months, but not really bothered just to see how she was getting on. work was going okay. She had got really sad and then did actually end up changing roles within the company and got a line manager who was there for a little bit more. But it's just those little things that can just be so key. Just to have maybe a sort of little, I don't know, 10-15 minute coffee catch up or green meanie catch up once a week just to check in, you know. So that's it's that line of communications, keeping it open, being available for people to reach out and know it's okay to reach out, because it's only going to help the running of the company in the long run, and just is that nice way of giving people agency and feeling a bit more involved with the company.
And outside of just the onboarding process, or that initial process of bringing people into the company, just how important is it for an employee's not just physical health but mental health as well, that there are regular touch points, you know, in terms of their health and well-being?
Yeah, so wouldn't it be, I would hope, I mean, it's a lot harder when people are joining remotely, of course, and you're not going into the company and you're not getting a feel of the culture. You can't talk to your colleagues to find out what to expect with those touch points with the company, or you can just actually have an accidental conversation with the line manager. So we have to be much more proactive in handling and dealing with those people working from home, and have more of a clear sort of strategy or a clear outline of how we're going to be touching base, and how the education on working well at home is going to happen as well. I've met so many people also who just, I mean, ergonomics is such a key point, and it's required by the HSE Act, but still meeting people who've been working from home, what's it, 18 months now, and haven't had just some sort of even basic communication or education of how to look after their health when they're working from home. So some really long-term complex issues that have been occurring too.
Well, it still surprises me to this day that some companies don't induct their staff properly at all. And you know, from a legal ramification point of view, that's incredibly dangerous, because you know, your staff, you need to have some kind of assessment process in there right from the beginning to make sure that you know where the starting point is with that member of staff. I don't think some businesses understand that. I don't think they understand that, you know, it's fundamentally important that you have a proper workplace assessment carried out at the point of induction, because how do you know, if not, as I said earlier, whether that person's got an existing condition, or because then no one's going to talk to you about that necessarily in an interview. But, you know, do you know what it is that they require from, you know, before coming into there's your starting point. Even things like glasses and the wearing of spectacles, etc. You know, if you don't take that starting point of what is your eyesight like now at the beginning of that person working for you, how on earth do you know whether their eyesight has deteriorated whilst working for you or not?
It's going in blind, isn't it? So and they're very, very unlikely, as you say, to bring anything up in interview, because who would do that? You're just wanting the job, aren't you? So you're not going to bring up any barriers to being employed even. So yeah, it would be great to have some sort of starting assessment point, and bringing up about eyes. Just seeing so many people really struggling with eye health during this, because we're just looking at our screens for so much longer. In the office, you get kind of natural breaks from the screen with people walking past, or something that catches your eye. Again, we kind of have to really be proactive in looking after our eye health and having recommended breaks from screens, so you don't get those dry eyes, you don't get the burning eye, health. And knowing that you should actually get back up quite regularly, at least every 2 years. So good point.
Yeah. Now, in terms of shifts and shifts of kind of working pattern, obviously, as the pandemic hit, most people migrated home, and that's where we had to stay because the offices were shut, etc. Now people are beginning to go back, but are you finding that the majority of people are continuing to work in what we call hybrid, but between the office and home? And does that create any additional issues?
Yeah, so still vast majority working from home. I'm really not seeing many people return to the office quite yet. So, and also talking about when things do open up, that it will be hybrid. I've spoken to people who've moved to the Isle of Skye, to Fort William, when their office is in London. So things are going to shift. Yes, definitely. The vast majority of people I talk to are going to be working from home in some sort of form going forward for the long term, even if that's only a few days a week. So it's going to be really interesting to see this, how it evolves as things do hopefully open up. But then you have the complexity of what are you going to set up your home, your person working from home with a good setup at home as well as in the office. Are you going to have to prioritize? Are you going to do both? Ideally, you would do both. But if you've got limited budgets, where are you going to prioritize that expenditure? Now, there are things that you can do that you can make things, any solutions that you bring into the home are nice and mobile, apart from a chair, that you can move back into the office when you go, like your laptop stands and your mini keyboards and your vertical mouse. Those are easily taken from the home to the office. The complexity are the chairs. But then again, there's sort of more mobile solutions that we can come up to help people. So this is why these conversations with people are so important. There's kind of not a one solution fits all. Everybody's unique, and they've got their own more complex issues going on at home, which do need a more bespoke solution approach. So it's a very, very different process dealing with the home workers to how you would deal with a home worker with an office worker.
And a lot of those people will have moved because actually the environment is better for them all round. I mean, if you've got space to go outside and you've got more space in the home itself, then you've got more room to actually have a proper office space. And that's better. And of course you avoid the wonderful commute every day.
Yes, although trying to get people to do the fake commute with getting outside within 2 hours of walking really helps boost your circadian rhythm levels, gives you more energy if you go outside in the morning. So having that fake commute is, if you don't have a real commute anymore, is a good idea, and gets the exercise in for the day as well, which is great, because so many people just forget, or they just get wrapped up in the work. And I myself can do it during the day, and you forget to get out and have a walk and get some fresh air. So it's nice to do it if you're on one.
Well, I suppose one of the issues there is that on that commute that was before, is that people would have worked, and it's finding ways to work for some people whilst they're fake commuting as well, because they may not necessarily have the same facilities there. So I mean, if you used to travel in, say, for example, part car and part train, you might have had a telephone meeting in the car with somebody, and then when you got to the train, the laptop came out, etc. And we could go into how many people use laptops badly on trains for hours on end. But there was a bit of work going in on the train, etc. So there was that kind of work happening. But if you're at home, say, and then you go out for a fake commute because you walk somewhere, is that going to do it? I mean, do you think with that in mind that we might see the growth of more local hubs of sort of communal working areas to help people shift where they're working and give them an alternative view?
So you still got people who have got really that they're in a shared accommodation. Maybe they're still having to work in their bedroom. Whatever solutions we could try and find for them. Essentially, really, they need an office space. So for those people, if they have moved somewhere else and the company can support it, local hubs is such a great idea. And I think there are new solutions coming up, new types of different hubs coming up all the time to because they recognise that. And some companies I've talked to are putting that into. So there's a whole ream of different solutions for different types of situations for different people. So you'll have the people with the little kids at home who need some quiet place to work, who would welcome a hub if they've moved too far away from the central office, and then the people working in small flats. So there's lots of reasons for needing that local hub. So then it supports the local economy as well. So it's a great idea. It'd be really nice if people can support that. I guess then you're missing out. You have to still get a team together, because we've realised that whilst we can be more productive working at home, we're missing out on that collaborative creative work when we come together in a physical space. So that kind of still needs to be worked out. But it'd be great to have like a whole variety of solutions. One company I'm talking to actually are giving up their office, and they're just trying to work out how that's going to work when they need their team meetings and things. So it's going to be really, really, it's really interesting times. It's really going to be, it's a really evolving time for the future of the office. And actually the future of the office, I think, is also including that sort of homely feel, because people realize that that's really nice to bring back into the office. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it's going to change.
Definitely. I've seen a lot more designs lately for offices where it's much more open plan. It's got more of that kind of, sort of drop down area. It's not, even the furniture's not quite so angularly, and it's not quite so it looks more like a pub based area or whatever, and that's kind of the feel that a lot of people will want to go for, because if you come out of the home, you want to, and you're going for a team meeting or whatever, why do you want to go into a glass shell and sit around a boardroom table for hours? It's not really.
No. Well, the aim of the office being for creative collaborative work, then that environment needs to change and sort of encapsulate that and embrace that. But what I am worried about is then people say, oh, we can just have nice kind of dining chair, dining look chairs or something for people to work on. You still need the office chair. Please have the office chair, because the body still needs supporting properly. And then, of course, there's a need to fulfill HSE, DSE requirements anyway. So I hope that's done sensibly with the well-being of the back in mind as well.
Have you seen any main revolutions happen over this pandemic period? Have we embraced different types of working more than we did before? I mean, I've certainly seen a lot more talk around sit-stand working, for example, than previously. It was a nice to for some people, but now it seems to be a lot more people have realised, do you know what? Out of necessity more than anything. I can't sit all day.
So sometimes I still go back into my office. So I work between home and the office. And I find I actually do still move around much more when I'm in the office. So I think with people realizing they are more static at home. And I think it's also maybe linked, I wonder, with the Zoom calls, with the online calls, because so many people I talk to are having back-to-back calls. And as much as I say, please have them less than an hour, so at least you get everybody a chance to have a head break and a body break, to change from one call to another. a lot of people just back. So for that reason, people then say, well, I can't move away from my desk for hours at a time because I've got all these back-to-back calls. So then a sit-stand solution is really, really essential. So I wonder if that might be spurring it on, or just the lack of natural movement that you get in during the day when you're at home. And then, of course, you learn that you need to stand more at home, so then you want to bring it back into the office as well.
I'm guessing as well from some of the feedback that I've seen on LinkedIn, for example, over the past few weeks, is that it becomes even more apparent that one size doesn't fit all in terms of a solution. Yeah. And certainly there's been some younger people saying, well, I'm absolutely desperate to get back to the office because that's my social life.
Yeah.
Etc. And so again, coming back to where we started with this conversation, isn't it even more important that actually employers take a little bit more time to actually understand their people and their team?
Totally.
And when I say understand, not just understand them in terms of what they do for them as an employee in the business, but actually understand them as people and what their circumstances are. You know, what have you got at home in terms of space and facility? Are you living in a box? And therefore what I'm expecting of you is, you know, is not going to be great for your mental health or your physical health. Are you feeling lonely working remotely? What can I do as a business to help with that? You know, can I make available for you space in an office? You know, other people who have got a family and flex working and being able to work from home more may work better. So, you know, is it a case in the future of really just getting to understand your team's needs and actually being properly flexible around each member of the team to get the most out of each member?
Totally. I mean, you can't, when you're trying to work out what that future of the office is going to be, you can't work that out without having those in-depth conversations with the different people to understand what the individual needs are, and therefore what solutions you're going to have to build to accommodate those. So it's going to be a bit of a, you know, compromise between different people's different requirements, but you've got to have those conversations to understand how to build in a solution that's going to benefit for not only the office and not only the company, but getting the most out of your staff as well. And I think it really has really highlighted, put a spotlight on the fact that we're not just this person that comes into work, that we have got all of this other stuff in our life that we need to bring into our work life as well. People need to understand, and it can benefit our individual personal experiences can also benefit work. So you might find, you know, someone particularly, it's often people who have gone through the hardest times who are then fantastic wellbeing champions, for instance. So you can tap into that great resource that you may have in-house. By having those online calls with people in their own home, you can't deny that there's other stuff going on. So I think it really has fast forwarded this whole need and requirement for looking after your employees' health and well-being. It's going to be really interesting. I think I'm very worried about the amount of back issues that are occurring, but I'm also equally worried about the mental health issues that have been occurring. And I don't think we're going to realize that until people are starting to come back to the office and starting to realize the impact of, maybe they haven't recognized the impact on themselves of everything that they've just gone through. So I think that's going to be really, really important.
And you take yourself, you take a very holistic approach to ergonomics, etc. And you know, it's for you, it's not just, I go and look at one person's desk and this is it. So I mean, if you know, you take into account their physical well-being, their mental well-being, and you know, the whole thing. So you know, the advice would be really if you're designing an office or redesigning an office, get someone like you involved, because don't just put it to a designer. Not saying that designers do a bad job, but so often, you know, a designer may just come at it from the angle of, you know, trying to fit your criteria in terms of getting stuff right in the space or the aesthetics, etc. But it's important to be working with a team who can see it from different points of view and go, oh, actually, as you said earlier, don't just put dining room chairs in there, or don't think about, you know, well, let's put this kind of sitting area in there, but then not think about the workflow and the work mode that's going on in there. I mean, I experienced that once when I went to, they shall remain nameless, but a lovely building with some beautiful breakout furniture. You know, but this one woman said to me, yeah, but do you know what, they've put this in over there, and you know, it's clearly designed for a 20-minute sort of breakout session talking to someone, but we spend 4 hours sometimes sat over there.
So this is why it's so important to actually talk to the employees. They will know what is best in a way. So you need to talk, you need to have focus groups and bring those findings into the design. So yes, us ergonomists are great at sort of being the link as between the employee and the designer. So really understanding what those employees' needs are and bringing that into the design, rather than just thinking, well, I know what's best, I'm going to design it like this, and then finding problems when people move in. So you really need to have an in-depth understanding of how the spaces are going to be used and make sure that those are designed into the office. Because nothing worse than moving into an office and thinking it's all lovely and it's going to be all fantastic, and then people find glitches as soon as they start to use the space.
Well, thanks for talking to me today, Nichola, and thanks for covering those subjects. If you've been watching this or you're watching this throughout the day and you're thinking about your own onboarding technique or your own onboarding package, please do comment. Tell us what you currently do, or if you would like Nichola's advice on perhaps what a decent onboarding package to really promote the health and well-being of your team and bring your team together in that kind of shared value of looking after themselves first and looking after each other. If you want to find out a little bit more about that, do comment, and we'll make sure we get back to you. But thank you very much for joining me today.
My pleasure. Lovely to see you.
Cheers. Bye for now.